Okay, so let's check this up. Number 1 from the work. You're given this equation, y equals x squared plus 8x plus 5. Alright? It says I want to find the vertex. So if I want to find the vertex, what should I do? Complete the square or quadratic? Taisha? Sure, I can give you a handout, but you can answer the question too. So if I want the vertex, should I do complete the square or should I do quadratic formula? Try again. Yeah. Yeah, real quick. Yeah, so you want to complete the square when you are asked for the vertex. Complete the square. Okay, you want to complete the square when you're asked for the vertex. Hi. You can set one back. It's the angle is, no. So actually two back. No, you can't see. No, move one back. This is an extra desk that the other class put in. Yeah, so one of those. Yeah, at least there. Because the angle, you can't see the board from that angle. Okay, so whenever it asks you to whenever it asks for the vertex, you know that means you want to complete the square. So completing the square, factor out the a out of the first two terms. So in this case, it's just 1, so nothing to factor out. X squared plus 8x, and then plus 5. Second step, take half of the middle term and then square it. So 8 divided by 2, and then squaring it, you get 4 squared, which is 16. So plus 16, minus 16. Remember the order does matter, plus and then minus. All right. Third step, factor out the fourth term. So x squared plus 8x plus 16. 1 times negative 16 is just negative 16, so we just bring it out simply. Next, complete the square. This part right here, I know it simplifies to something square. Okay, what does this simplify to? X plus 4. This number right here. That's why I always do this on the side. Okay, and then here, it just simplifies to minus 11. So what's my vertex? Looking at this standard form, looking at this vertex form. What's my, yep, Eiko? Negative 4, negative 11. Good. Does my parabola open up or open down? Sorry? Okay, was that a guess? That sounded like a guess, though. It's right. It is open up, but how do I know it opens upwards? Okay, so let me just draw this. Okay, looking at the equation, how do I know this opens up? Yeah. Right, the A is positive. Your A is 1, so it's a positive. It opens upwards. So if I were to do a quick little sketch, 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 4 is here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so negative 4, negative 11. Okay. My A, as Eiko said, A was 1. So if I do the step method, it's just 1, 3, and 5. So over 1, up 1. Over 1, up 3. 1, 2, 3. And then over 1, up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, what's wrong with what I plotted? How many? The last thought right here. What's wrong? Yeah, notice this and this was on the same x value. that tells me right away I probably crafted it wrong. You will get the written part of the last test back today. Some of you guys did the step method over one hour of that, and then you counted it wrong. So make sure you don't have two dots with the same x value. That's like a big obvious mistake. Right? This point should have been right here. Your parabola will always open outwards like this. Okay? So that tells you that point should probably not be there. Okay? So there we go. Quick, easy question, completing the square and graphing the parabola. You will see this for sure. All right, you'll need to complete the square, you'll need to graph it. Number 2, path of a ball. Sorry, example 3, path of a ball. The path of a ball is modeled by this equation where x is the horizontal distance in meters and y is the height in meters above the ground. What is the maximum height of the ball and at what horizontal distance does it occur? So maximum, the word maximum right here. What do you think I should do? Complete the square or quadratic formula? Complete the square. That's right. So when do you do complete the square? When you want to find a vertex? When you want to find the maximum or minimum. Okay. So keep that in mind. Alright. So I'm gonna do complete the square. So number 3, y equal negative x squared plus 2x plus 3. Alright, so same thing, complete the square. Y equal, take out the a value. What's my a value? Victor? -1. So you have to take out that negative. So take out that -1. So this becomes minus 2x. When I looked around on Wednesday, a lot of you guys wrote plus 2x right here. Don't forget when you factor out that negative, it becomes negative 2x. Okay. Why that's important is because right here, when you take half of this number, half of -2 is -1. All right. So it does make a big difference, the sign. Okay. I know that when you square it, it's always the positive anyway, but in your next step, it will make a difference. Okay, so plus 3. So when you factor out that fourth term, -1 times -1 gives you +1. Okay, and then y equal negative. This part right here, again, complete the square. This part factors 2, x, and then what's my number? Tasia? -1. So that's why positive, negative makes a big difference. Okay, -1. And then here you can just simplify, so that's plus 4. So what's my vertex then? Now that this is in vertex form, equal? 1 and 4. Does my parabola open up or open down? Equal. How do you know? The A is negative. So that means it opens down. Okay, so let me, my A is -1. So my steps are going to be -1, -3, -5, like that. So let me do a quick little sketch. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 and 4. There's my vertex. And then I go over 1, down 1. Over 1, down 3. Over 1, down 5. Like this. Okay. So when I graph it, okay, so here's my parabola. Okay, here's my parabola. Okay, looks like this. Now, if you draw me this graph on the test, there's 2 mistakes on here that I'm gonna take half a mark off. 2 things. All right, so there's 2 mistakes here that I'm gonna take half a mark off here and half a mark off there. What's wrong with this graph, Victor? Oh, true. so technically, I would take off three places. So take off 1.5 mark. Ryan. Erase the left side of the line. Why? The ball started at 3. Remember, this equation, it's a word problem. Always go back to your word problem to see what you were doing. This models the path of a ball. So so this part doesn't make sense. Okay, so there's actually no left side of the ball. Okay, when you throw the ball, you're throwing it like this. You don't throw it backwards. Okay, so this part. What's the second thing that's wrong with this graph? Hey, Ryan.
Is it also the right line under 0?
What about it? What about this part?
The ball can't go under 0.
The ball can't go underground unless you like throw it really, really hard and you break through the ground. So your parabola should actually just consist of this part of the parabola because this projects the ball. This is the projectile of the ball. Okay. You'll definitely see these type of questions on the test with some analysis. Okay, so I know that this point right here, this is my vertex, which is 1 and 4. What does it mean though in the context of the question? What does that 1 and 4 mean? Yep. Yeah. Okay. Maximum height is 4 meters. And when does it occur? At 1 meter. Good. When the ball is 1 meter horizontally. Okay, so this word is very important too. When you guys do these type of word problems, make sure you refer back to what x is measured in. So in this case, they say x represents the horizontal distance from the beginning in meters. So it's not always 1 second, 1 minute. It could be meters horizontally as well. So when it's 1 meter horizontally, you reach a maximum height of 4 meters. Okay. At what height did I throw the ball? Eiko? Ready? 3, yeah. When did I start throwing it? At 3 meters. Okay, when did it hit the ground? Ready? Also 3 meters right here. This is the ground. So, but how do I distinguish between like which 3 am I talking about? So this one, again, this is my horizontal distance. So, right, 3 meters horizontally. Okay, and the math in this chapter is not very creative. The questions that you're going to see is this rocket is shooting from a cliff 3 meter high and then it hits the water. The ball, I'm throwing it from a hill and then it lands on the ground. The water fountain that is 3 meter high is shooting water out and it's 3 meters away, so forth. So it's always going to be parabolas like this, like that. Okay? And so like now that you know how to analyze this type of questions, you can apply the same analysis on the different types of problems. Okay, very nice. Example 4, maximize revenue. We did a question like this the other day. Alex ran a snowboard rental business that charged $12 per snowboard, and he gets about 36 rentals per day. That's really cheap. She discovered that for each 50 cents decrease in price, she can rent 2 more out. At what price can Alex maximize her revenue? So this one, complete the square or quadratic formula? Okay, so let's do a vote. Who says quadratic formula? Who says complete the square? Why complete the square? I even highlighted it for you. Maximum, right? We just set it up here. Whenever the question asks for maximum, minimum, you're completing the square. You want to figure out the vertex. So let's do that. So, okay, so we were saying for this one, revenue, if it was just $12 each times 36 snowboards, we would have just wrote something like this, right? To find the revenue. But now our situation is a little different because we want to do, minus 50 cents deductions. So instead of $12, I want to do 12, take away 50 cents deductions. And whenever I do that, I can rent out 2 more. Okay, so you see how I changed from this to this because of the new condition? What does X represent? Yep.
The deduction and price.
Good. Number of deductions. Perfect. All right. So I still have people telling me it's the number of snowboards. It's not number of snowboards. It's the number of deductions. Okay. So now that I have this, FOIL. First, outside, inside, last. So R equal 432 plus 24x minus 18x minus x squared. Okay. Rearrange this into standard form. So negative x squared plus 6x plus 432. Make sure you rearrange into vertex form. If you don't rearrange it into vertex form, you're going to factor out the wrong number. Okay, so as we said, we want maximum, which means complete the square. Okay. So complete the square, same thing, minus 6x, okay, and then plus 432. Negative x squared minus 6x. So half of negative 6 is negative 3. So when you square it, you get 9. So plus 9 minus 9. Okay. So negative. So I'm just going to skip some steps since we did so many of these. 4, 4, 1. All right. So I just kind of combined it all 3 steps together. This factors out to x minus 3 squared. I multiplied this out and then added to that. So I got 4, 4, 1. So my vertex here, 3, and 4, 4, 1. Okay. So now that I have my vertex, I want to go back to my question. Go back to this original question right here and figure out what that vertex tell me. Okay. So the question was, at what price can Alex maximize her revenue? Okay. Miriam?
After 3 price reductions, she can maximize revenue.
Perfect. 3 reductions. Remember the X we set up here was the number of deductions. So it's not that you set it for $3. You started at 12. So 3 50-cent reductions. What's my new price then? What should I charge? Yeah. $10.50. That's right. All right, so I should charge $10.50. What is this 441 then? What does the 441 represent? So this is the price that I should charge. And this 441? What is that? Yep. Max revenue. Good job. Max revenue equals $441. Alright, so therefore, if Alex sets the price to $10.50, she will earn a maximum revenue of $441. Right? Will you see a question like this on the test? Yes. Alright. Next one. Number 14. This is a similar one to the one that you guys got on Thursday as well. Okay, so number 14. The hypotenuse of a right triangle. Okay, so let's draw a right angle triangle first. The hypotenuse measures 29 centimeters. Alright, one leg is 1 centimeter shorter than the other. What are the length of the legs? So notice there are 3 sides. I only got information on 2 sides. So the side that you don't know what it stands for, call it X. Alright. One leg is 1 centimeter shorter than the other. Alright. If this is X, that means this is X minus 1. And then hypotenuse is 29. Alright. So whenever you hear the word right angle triangle, hypotenuse, what comes to mind? Eiko? Pythagorean theorem. That's exactly it. That's how you need to connect these three info right here. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Remember that? Yeah. So x squared plus x minus 1 squared equals 29 squared. Okay. And then now you have to do expand everything out. X squared plus x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 841. Okay. Remember x minus 1 squared is x minus 1 times x minus 1. So when you do FOIL, you get this. Right. Don't forget that minus 2x. A lot of people still miss that. Okay. I have to write it in standard form. So move everything to one side. So 2x squared minus 2x and then minus 840. Okay, I have it in standard form now. Okay, so should I complete the square or should I do the quadratic formula? Okay, so those who say do the quadratic formula. Those who say complete the square. Those who say factor. All right, so those of you who said quadratic formula or factoring, you are correct because we're solving for x. So when should you do quadratic formula? Quadratic formula or factoring. So what tells you when you should do that? When you're solve for x. Okay. Okay. So remember, we know how to do it two different ways. We can either do quadratic formula, or if it's factorable, we can do by factoring as well. I'll show this one. I'll show using the factoring way. Okay. So looking at this, I can factor out the 2 first. X squared minus x minus 420. Okay. And then looking at this, it's a trinomial with just x squared. So I can do x, and then 21 times 20 actually gives me that 420. So if it's negative 21, when I cross multiply, I can get 20x minus 21x, which gives me the negative 1x that I want in the middle. Okay. So I found my factors. So therefore, this is my first bracket. This is my second bracket. So 2 bracket x minus 21, x plus 20 equals 0. Okay. Now let's say 420, I can't think of two numbers that multiply to 420. The numbers are too big. I can't think. Then just do quadratic formula. It will always work. It won't fail. It's just longer. Right? So if you can see the factoring right away, it is faster. Okay? But if it doesn't come to you right away, just use the quadratic formula. Okay. Now that I have this, I can do my 2 arrows to solve for x. So x minus 21 equals 0. So x is 21. X plus 20 equals 0. So x equals negative 20. Okay. Going back to my original question, I solved for x. One's a positive number, one's a negative number. Okay. What should I do with them? What should I do with these two numbers? Yep. Sub it into the diagram. In this case, sub it into the diagram to see what you get. So 20 and so 21 and 20. Yep, that makes sense. So this answer, I like 21 centimeters. I'm going to take this. But the other one, negative 20 centimeters and negative 21 centimeters, does that make sense? No. Since it doesn't make sense, I can't have negative length. I reject that answer. So in this question, what are the lengths of the legs? It's going to be 20 and 21 centimeters long. Just because it's a negative doesn't mean you always reject it. Right? There are scenarios where we would take both, and we'll talk about and we'll do an example of when we take both answers. Okay. Last question. Okay. At the mini mart, price of milk. on an average day, you can buy milk for $3.90 and they sell 120 bags. For every 10 cents deduction in price, they can sell 20 more bags. So in this case, they actually gave you the equations. They set it up for you. So 390 minus 0.10 N and 120 plus 20 N. Just like how we set it up for this question, right? It's very similar. The total revenue of the product of the price and milk sold, find the price reduction. That will result in a revenue of $700. All right. So this, as we said, exactly same as this. So to find revenue, I'm going to multiply these two, the price and the number of bags. So 17, I'm gonna do revenue equals 390 minus 0.10 N times 120 plus 20 N. Right? So again, I'm going to do FOIL. First, outside, inside, last. So R equals 468 plus 78N minus 12N minus 2N squared. Okay. Simplified this, I get negative 2N squared plus 66N plus 468. Okay, I have my equation in standard form. Okay, take a look at the equation now. Sorry, the question. If I look at the question, what's one piece of info I haven't used? Mohammed? The $700. So the revenue of 700, I haven't used that. Where do you think I should sub in that 700 then? For R, right? Revenue, R, 700. So that's where I would substitute it in. So that's where it's a little different than the one that we did. So they don't want to figure out. Okay, so let me rearrange this first. All right, so after subbing that in, I still need to rewrite this in standard form. So that means I have to move that 700 over. And so my equation now is going to be this. So 468 minus 700, which gives me negative 232. Okay, 468 minus 700 gives me negative 232. Okay, so now that I have this in standard form, what should I do? Should I complete the square or should I do the quadratic formula? Okay, take a look at the question again. All right, take a look at the question. Find how many price reduction will result in this. Okay, so those who say quadratic formula, complete the square. Right. I don't see a maximum, minimum word in here. Same question, but they were actually asking the different thing. This one asked for maximum revenue, so I know it's complete the square. This one, I'm solving for X. I want to find out how many price reduction. So whenever we're solving for X, what do we say on the other page? Right here. Whenever we solve for X, it's the quadratic formula or factoring. All right. So same question, but they were asking for different info. So here, that means I am solving for X. I'm going to do quadratic formula this time. So let's say A is negative 2, B is 66, C is negative 232. Okay, sub it into the formula. Who remembers the formula? How many? Yeah. Perfect. Okay. If you cannot remember that, you're screwed. You need to remember that. You need to memorize it. You have a few days to memorize it. Okay. So here we're actually solving for n. So n equal, sub it in, negative 66 plus minus root 66 squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Okay. So n equals negative 66 plus or minus root 2,500 over negative 4. So n equals negative 66 plus or minus 50 over negative 4. Okay. Once I get to this part, I can do my two sides, my two arrows. Okay. One is going to be negative 66 plus 50 over negative 4. And the other side is going to be negative 66 minus 50 over negative 4. Yep. Yeah, so I could, whenever you substitute, you should put in brackets. But I got lazy. I didn't because it was a positive number. So when you have bracket negative 66, it's the same. You'll get negative 66. And it changes when it's if it was a negative number. Like if your b was negative, that's when it will change it. Yeah. Okay. So right here, negative 66 plus 50 minus divided by negative 4, you get n equals 4. Right here, you have negative 66 minus 50 divided by negative 4, you get 29. Okay, this time both are positive numbers. All right. Should I take one? Which one should I reject? Do I take both? Okay. So this goes back to the original question then. Go back to the question. What did we say n represent? Armand, what does n represent again?
Deduction.
Yeah, number of deductions. So we started off with, we started off with the price was $3.90. And then we were doing 10 cents reductions. If we reduce it 4 times, what is the price of milk? $3.90 take away 40 cents. How many? $3.50. That's right. Does that make sense? Do you think we should take that answer? Yeah, sounds good to me. Yeah, sounds reasonable. So price of milk is $3.50. I'm gonna take that answer. Okay. What about here then? The price, $3.90, take away 0.10 times 29. That will be $3.90 take away $2.90. So we are left with $1. Okay. Is that an answer that we should accept? Don't worry about like if it's too cheap or too expensive, but like in terms of money value, it's a money value, right? So, right?
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, it works. So we should accept it as well. So in this case, we're actually accepting both answer. Why is that? Why are we taking both answer? How does our graph look? Okay, so think of it as okay. So number. Okay, so your parabola looks something like this. Okay. Again, all parabola looks like that. This right here could be the $1. And then this right here could be the $3.50. Okay, and then here is $700 revenue. Okay. When you set the price of milk really low, what happens? If milk is really cheap, yeah? No, but what do customers do? More people will buy it. So even though they set it at $1, more people will buy it, so they still make up that 700. But what if they set the price really high? Less people will buy it, but because they set it so high, they still offset the price. And so they would still make that 700. And so that's why, in this case, both answers will still give you that 700. Does that make sense? Low price, more people will buy. Less high price, less people will buy, but because you charge them so much, you still make money. Okay, so that's why there's these two answers. Now, what if now I ask you at what price would give you maximum revenue? Yep.
$2.75.
How did you get that?
I found the average of the two.
Yeah. Okay, so you could go all the way back here and do complete the square. But if we did all this work and got to here already, you can just figure out what the middle of them is. So 1 plus 350 divided by 2, you'll get $2.75. Okay. So in this case, setting it at 275 would give you your maximum profit. But if otherwise, $1 and 350 would give you a revenue of $700. Okay. So I really like these two questions, number 4 and number 17. Okay, because same question, but that last sentence of what it asks you would determine if you should do complete the square or if you should do quadratic formula. Okay, so just a quick little recap. Complete the square. Quadratic formula or factor. When do we use which? All right. So if I give you an equation in standard form and I ask you to rewrite it in vertex form, which one is that? Write an equation in vertex form. Yep. Complete the square. So if the question asks you to write in vertex form, you know you're doing complete the square. If I want to find the vertex, Victor? Sorry. Complete the square. I didn't mean to scare you. If I want to find a maximum or minimum, Nikki? Complete the square. If I want to find x-intercept, yeah, quadratic. If I want to solve for x, quadratic. If I want to find out when does that ball hit the ground, quadratic. The key word, when. It hits the ground, for example, or water, or the floor, or whatever. Okay, so the key is when, because when you're talking about the horizontal distance. Okay, how high? How high can that ball reach? How high can that rocket reach? Yep. Yeah. So whenever you're talking about like the height, it's your y basically. Okay. I think that's all. Okay. So hope this helps you distinguish when you need to do what. This whole chapter, there's just these two: complete the square or quadratic formula. All right. So it's just these two methods for this whole chapter. Only trick is you need to know when to use which. So based on the question, what are you looking for? And then decide what you should do. Okay, sounds good? Okay, Thursday's work. I assigned it number 1 to 14, skip number 12. How many of you finished all of them? Oh, good for you. I don't see. All right, so for the rest of the class, there's about 20 minutes. I'll let you guys finish up those.